Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Phantom Rogue mod build guide in Baldur's Gate 3 based on the mod from Waterwitch 83 here, which is now available on console. It's got a lot of really cool abilities here, consuming soul tokens. Whenever you do a sneak attack, you can take half your sneak attack die and actually attack another target, dealing necrotic damage. You can later overcome resistances to it, and I'll be taking this up to level 20, but you can also stay at level 12 if you prefer. So we'll start off with the Rogue here. You get to choose skill proficiencies. I'd recommend having Stealth and Sleight of Hand if you're going to be the lockpicker. If you're the face of the party, you can take that out and use Persuasion, Intimidation, or Deception, depending on how you want to play. Evil, good, or middle of the pack. Now, we're dexterity based, and we also want to have some constitution as well. But I actually like to have a bit of wisdom too, because we could add in the Ranger, as this class only gets abilities up to level 15, making it perfect to do a multi-class if you're going up to level 20. But you don't have to have the wisdom, although it is nice to stop things like hold person and commands. So we're going to roll with a stat spread, something like this can work well. So you can go 16 wisdom, 16 dexterity, and 14 constitution. You can take the wisdom points and buff up your constitution to 16 if you prefer, but I think this thing works very well here. That's because later on we get a nice benefit to our wisdom saves, and also the Ranger uses wisdom too. Now we get our bonus action abilities at level 2, and then level 3 gives us our subclass here, which we're going to obviously go with the Phantom. It gives the subclass feature Whales of the Grave. Immediately after you use your sneak attack die to damage a creature that turn, you can target a second creature that you can see within 30 feet, roll half the number of sneak attack die for your level, and the second creature takes necrotic damage equal to the roll's total, as the Wail of the Dead sounds around them for a moment. We also get the soul consumption, so focus on the memories of death within a soul token and channel its power, restoring 1 point of channel death, which is that ability there. And then you also get the Whispers of the Grave, which gives you proficiency in one chosen skill. This is nice just for kind of filling out a, if you're the face of the party, you can give yourself some nice advantages there. Level 4 gives us a feat. I think Dexterity Improvement is the best choice, although the Alert feat is also nice too. Level 5 gives us Evasion, so taking half the usual damage. That's great. And then into level 6 also gives us the skill Necrotic Adept. So spells you cast and attacks you make ignore resistance to necrotic damage. And in addition, when you deal necrotic damage with a spell, you cannot roll a 1. We also get to add 2 skill proficiencies here. Intimidation and Deception are good for like kind of a middle evil-ish kind of run. And then once we make our way to level 7 here, we get Evasion, which makes it so that we take half damage on a successful dexterity saving throw. Or half damage we fail and no damage we succeed, so further reducing the damage we take from spells. Level 8, another ability score improvement, or the Alert feat. You can even go dual wielding if you like to use bigger weapons, like Fowler Louvre is a sneak attack weapon. Level 9 gives us the Tokens of the Departed. When you kill a creature, you're able to snatch tokens from the departing soul, a sliver of its life essence that takes its physical form. As a reaction, you can grab a tiny soul token from seemingly out of nowhere. You also get the Soul Token Essence. When a soul token is on your person, you have advantage on Constitution saving throws, and a 1d4 bonus on death saving throws, so that's pretty nice. Also, you get a bonus to action haste for 2 turns that uses a soul token. The Necrotic Infusion, which adds a 1d4 necrotic damage to your attacks. And you also get Speak with the Dead, although you can get the amulet early on in the game to also do that. Level 10 gives us another feat, as the Rogue gets that at level 10. Alert, nice choice. +5 to initiative, always a good choice. Level 11 gives us the Reliable Talent. When you make an ability check or skill with a skill you're proficient in, you can roll as a 10. That's great. Level 12 gives us the Ghost Walk. This spell allows you to transform yourself into a ghost to avoid attacks, reduce size, and gain advantage on some saving throws, and attacks made against you have disadvantage until long rest, and you can always pop yourself out of it. We also get another feat here, so I like to go with either the Savage Attacker, which will reroll your damage die, which is great because sneak attacks will get rerolled too. You can also go with the Tough feat, which will give us an extra 40 health if we're going to level 20, or 24 health we go to level 12. The Lucky feat is another good one, or you can go with some of the armor proficiencies if you want to have armor, although I wouldn't recommend going above medium. Level 13, just a bit of health there. Level 14 gives us a blind sense. You can make, basically nothing can be turned invisible within 10 feet of your character, so you permanently will have a little glowing eyeball above your head. And then level 15 gives us our last class and subclass feature with the Slippery Mind, getting proficiency in wisdom saving throws. That's why I mentioned wisdom is a good thing to have, so we're less likely to get hit with some of the most devastating spells in the game. And then the Slippery Mind, which same thing, proficiency in wisdom saving throws. Now at this point, you do get a feat if you go to level 16, but I think that the Ranger just makes more sense here. This is just to make it more powerful. We can go with the Bounty Hunter to make so that targets have disadvantage on their saving throws. Ranger Knight too if you want heavy armor, but don't recommend heavy armor. And then we'll also get, I guess we get medium armor here from this, so you don't have to take a feat. Wasteland Wanderer, fire or cold. But if you like to have the Ravens can blind targets, which is great for a sneak attack. And then level 2 here, we get to choose another spell since we took the boost to Snaring Strike. We'll take that. And Hunter's Mark is a great concentration to hold since we don't have many of those. We'll go with the defense for the +1 to armor class. Archery or dueling if you want to use a shield or archery to do a bonus on your weapon attacks. The 2-weapon fighting is good, but we do have a lot of bonus action abilities, so sometimes it's not best to do a dual wielding attack and actually just use a shield, as weird as it is. Level 3 gives us a subclass. We'll take the Gloomstalker. This makes the most sense to multiclass with either Dread Ambusher +3 to initiative, the Superior Dark Vision, Hide, and Umbral Shroud, and the Disguise Self. And then we also can take another spell here, Long Strider, not a bad one, or Fog Cloud even too, because Fog Cloud allows you to at least hide out in something. Level 4, we get our feat here. And as mentioned, the dual wielder can be nice. Even the defensive duelist can be good because you add your proficiency bonus to armor class as a reaction. It's kind of like the shield spell. You can also go with like the sentinel, the tough feat for the extra health, or really any of these other ones. Lucky, the good choice. I like dual wielder. You can even go with the wisdom improvement here if you wanted to. I'm gonna go with the dual wielder just to show off. I guess there's a few other options we can go with. I like personally having a shield on any type of build like this, but we can use 2 bigger weapons here if we wanted to. Or a tough feat for that +40 health. And sharpshooter, even if you want to use hand crossbows, can be nice. And then if you would have taken earlier the crossbow expert, that'd be a good choice. Or just simply a wisdom increase here to boost up our snaring strikes, which can be a nice boost to have. Now we get our extra attack. We get the Misty Step spell. We get a lot of bonus action abilities. And I would actually recommend taking Pass Without Trace, because with this, it gives you a +10 bonus to stealth checks, which is huge. So if you have someone casting greater invisibility on you, you're pretty much invisible. And then we also can take Spike Growth, but what you can do is if you find yourself not using one of these spells, you can always replace it and take it, the Snaring Grasp. As for gear, Mask of Soul Perception, +2 to attack rolls, Haste Helm early game for more movement speed, the Cloak Protection, Ballast Armor here, which will give targets within 3 meters vulnerability to piercing damage, unless they're immune to it. However, if they're immune to it, they also get the vulnerability. It's weird how it works. +2 to initiative as well, so we're going first. Helpless Gloves will give you additional fire damage on your attacks, but this is something you could even go with if you want to dump Dex. You could take the Dex Gloves. You even have things like the Gloves of the Balanced Hand here, which will add your ability modifier to the damage of your offhand attacks, which is nice too. Legacy of the Master will give you, this is medium armor, but +2 bonus attack and damage rolls, which is also nice. Wondrous Gloves will give you a +1 armor class, so you got a few different options there. And then also the Boots of Stormy Clamor, it's nice. You got the evasive shoes as well, so we get our armor class up to 27 or even 28 with the helmet, which is a good armor class while wearing light armor. If we went with medium armor, we go with the agility armor. We actually get our armor class quite high, so we're very stealthy and defensive, but only take the Boots of Stormy Clamor if you have the Lithid ability drain. Reverberation's a great status to apply on enemies. Disintegrating Nightwalkers or evasive shoes are other good options. Now, for weapons, I like the Knife of the Undermountain King here, so this gives an increased critical hit chance and advantage on attacks whenever lately are heavily obscured, which can count from things like the Fog Cloud, which is great. We could also use Dolor Amaris there as a weapon to increase our critical hit damage, and even things like the Justiciar Scimitar, whenever you have advantage, you have a chance of blinding your target, which is really nice. If you want to go crazy, you can take Sharp Spear of the Evening, although you will have to invest in strength to use that. It gives you blind immunity. It's really good and probably a little bit too overpowered for this build, so we're not going to focus on that. You can even go with some of the different tridents as well, which are pretty good. Like even Nyrulna is good on any kind of build. I'm going to roll with the Knife of the Undermountain King though, but even Rhapsody can work well. I also have a shield on here, but you can go with an offhand weapon. I just think that with a shield, this gives us a very high defense, which is really nice for survivability. Hell Rider Lambo, +3 to initiative. We're going first. And then also Ring of Protection for increased armor class and Killer Sweetheart for the free crit. The Amulet of Greater Health, although you can go with really anything else here. Periapt Wound Closure is a pretty good choice too. Now, if you want to do something a little crazy, you can use Pass Without Trace here, which will give you a +10 to your stealth checks. And then what we can do is use an Arrow of Darkness to create our little safety pocket here. This is just something funny with the class. So you go with Arrow of Darkness, you shoot that down in an area where it's not going to affect someone else, and then you can go hide out in this darkness. And then if you want to have someone else cast invisibility on you, to make this work, you would have to have like the Steel Watcher helmet or the Sharp Spear or the Eversight ring. So there's 3 pieces of gear that can make this work. You don't have to do it this way. It's just the way to make the rogue really strong. And then you can have someone throw a Potion of Invisibility for some extra bonuses here. So you can go with that, and the path is interrupted. So boom, get the invisibility. And then if your team is in a fight, you are kind of hidden here. So what you can do is you always go into the turn-based mode here and then go ahead with attacking from darkness. I recommend things like the arrow many targets, and you're going to have advantage from attacking from darkness. So this can be pretty funny because you can go attack like that. Then you're involved in the fight now too. Sometimes you get lucky and it doesn't actually impact that, and you can attack from hiding for a while there. Just depends if you roll the stealth check. So We'll just open up with critical hits, free crits against targets, applying the reverberation there. Our darkness, for some reason, has disappeared. I think that's because I shot an arrow and then ended up not going into turn-based mode. But we first want to use up our attack animations here. So we're not able to get the sneak attack for whatever reason there. So we're just going to go ahead with another arrow of many targets, trying to take out any of the prime targets that we don't want casting spells against us. Not the highest damage there, but that's okay. We also have our Dread Ambusher attack too, which we can use against the target. So there's one target right here we can go up and attack against with them with advantage. We got the Soul Token Steal there, so we got 5 Soul Tokens and 5 Channel Death. Unfortunately, couldn't do the sneak attack there for whatever reason, so I'll avoid using the haste there because we already kind of have haste applied. But you can always use the Necrotic Infusement too, which is pretty nice, so bonus action, boost that up. And then we got the Necrotic Infused Strikes there for, I guess, just one turn. You want to use it at the start of the turn, but... And here's a position where we don't have advantage to get our sneak attack off, so that's when we can always do our trusty Arrow of Darkness here. So disadvantage, but still, we got the reverberation off too. Perfect. So now we can do our sneak attack against them because we get advantage from the darkness. 100 damage there, and then you get the create soul token or whales from the grave. So this lets us use the channel death there and attack another target with the necrotic damage. Boom, did 16 damage. That's great. Now, we do have some other cool things we can do, so I'd recommend popping first the necrotic infusements here. So that's what I did last turn at the end of my turn, but we're going to do it here the first of the turn, so that whenever we go to do our arrow many targets, we're able to hit multiple targets with that necrotic damage. So boom, yeah, it didn't apply it. Yeah, so that happens. Now we can also do a sneak attack or just a regular melee attack on a target, but I always recommend, if you got the arrows, to use those, because you can get to the end of the game with a lot of arrows that you just didn't use. Arrows of Ice are nice too, because that at least gives you a form of crowd control against some casters. That can be really effective. So we created a nice surface there, which is likely affecting 2 of them. We applied reverberation because of the surface, so that's why I like those boots so much. And we knocked someone prone there. Perfect. So that's exactly why the Arrows of Ice are so nice. And I was able to get reverberation and knock that target prone somehow. Yeah, it's the beautiful thing with the Boots of Stormy Clamor. Sometimes you can get really lucky with the effects. So thanks to reverberation, we can then attack this target with advantage, and also because we're coming from the darkness, 96. That's exactly what we want. And then we're going to use the Whale of the Grave on this target here. 16 damage. Okay, that's nice. And then, yeah, we want to stick to our safety bubble as much as possible. So attacking with the arrows there, applying Fairy Fire sometimes. The damage isn't very high with these types of attacks. It's just part of the... But you can also apply your Hunter's Mark here, because we don't need Pass Without Trace anymore. We already broke our stealth, which is fine. But again, I like to shoot arrows around because sometimes you get lucky like that and you can knock targets prone, but even so, just spreading around extra damage is always nice. So I was able to take out actually 2 targets there, and we got the Soul Token Steal, which we could use, but it does require your reaction to be able to take the Soul Token. So that's something to consider. Now, we also got some other different arrows we can do here, like the Arrow of Roaring Thunder, which can sometimes be funny depending on how you aim it there. You can sometimes knock them into some pretty bad positions, but I'm always a fan of the arrow many targets just because you can hit so many targets. And with the Titan String Bow and a Strength Potion, this will be the most damage that you can get from it. We also got this haste version here, which doesn't apply if you already have haste, as you can see there. And we're lucky here, we can get advantage on that attack. We can do a sneak attack range or go in close and do the melee attack. I'd recommend using melee if you got the ballast armor on. Boom, 100 damage again, nice. And then we can use our Whales from the Grave, then hit this target here with that necrotic damage. It's going to be a 16, oh, 13 this time. That's not too bad. So then we're just going to pepper away. And if you got a single target, an Arrow of Humanoid Slaying is going to be your best choice there. Boom, critical hit. Yeah, that was pretty good damage. So that's the Phantom Rogue. I like to play it as more of a stealthier character because it's got the phantomness to it. It goes to level 15 in terms of his abilities. They say they're going to add a level 17 ability at some point later on, so maybe I'll revisit this in the future. But with the Gloomstalker Ranger, I think that fits very well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I hope you have a great day.